Hi there, thanks for taking the time. In this video, I'll give you a recap about a talk I recently gave at Pydata Copenhagen. So I was invited to talk about an introduction to data apps with panel. And since the event was not recorded, I'll try to recap some of the things I did here. So first of all, I gave an introduction to Awesome Panel, which is a site I've created. So Panel is a framework for creating powerful data apps and for interactive data exploration in Python. And here at awesomepanel.org you can find inspiration. You can find out if Panel is something for you. I believe it could be. At least Panel is something for me, and I wrote a blog post about it. You can check it out. One of the amazing things about Panel is that it really works in the notebook and your editor, so in both places, and this is like a unique value proposition. Panel is open source and free, and it's part of a broader family of systems that try to unite the Pydata or PyVis tools. So at Awesome Panel you can also find a few galleries. The app gallery is really all the applications that you see here in the sidebar. Let's check it out. And the community gallery is more like the awesome list. So this is the Awesome Panel gallery. Like this, you can go in here, find a lot of examples for inspiration. You can find the code, so a link to the code. There might also be a video or other kinds of links in here. Binder, for example, we have up here. So if you click this one, the Bootstrap dashboard, for example, you will go to a page where you can just see the small example here, and again we have the code here, and you can just open it on GitHub and take a look at how it's created. Yeah, we had the awesome list or the community gallery as well, so here you can get inspiration. You can click and go to the resource, and there might be additional links like GitHub links. For example, the GitHub link here is the repository of this application, and so on. But what I really want to demonstrate in this video is the application that we were building at Pydata 22. So I just want to showcase how easy it is to build applications with Panel. So in order to use Panel, we need to import it as PN. And now you can see I've started working here in VS Code, and that's because that's my preference. I prefer working in VS Code, but you can actually also work just as efficiently in a notebook if that's what you prefer. So we can search here, Panel, Jupyter, Panel, Preview, and then we will see here that we can get a nice efficient development environment as well in a notebook, because we have this Jupyter Panel Preview that reloads this application over here every time we save the notebook. So you get instant feedback, and that's really important for your development experience. But let's continue over here. So the first thing you have to do every time is sort of import some of the things you need for Panel, especially in the notebook. This is required. And then we can make a basic hello world. So hello Pydata world. That would be our message. And here we really almost have a small application. We can start up the server by writing panel serve, the name of the script, and then we can give it like an auto reload and show. Show will make it show up over here. You can see it's blank now, and that's because we need to mark the things we want to serve on our server as servable. And if the screen is blank here, the code and server is not connected yet, so we need to reload again. Now you can see we get it up here. And the nice thing is that pn.panel sort of recognizes stuff. So this thing, now recognizes as a markdown string, and it converts it nicely over here. And again, you see as soon as we save, it's updated. This is not the most beautiful application or anything, so what we can do is we can add a template like this. And now we can update the template, so we can refer to the pn.state.template and then param.update. So we want to update some parameters, like the site is something for Pydata Copenhagen 2022, or just Pydata Copenhagen, I guess. And the title is something like Introduction to Data Apps with Panel. Yes. And you can see you get a nice thing here. Yes. And what we could do furthermore is that we could actually add a sidebar. So we could have some settings and make them servable. So now you have like two cards here, but I want to show them in the sidebar, so I add area equals sidebar. And then you get this. Now we could say the sidebar width is too wide, so we could set it to 200 pixels, for example. That's nice. And we might also, yeah, well, that's fine. Okay, so I want to show you data apps, and data apps are normally interactive, so they have widgets. So the first thing we can do is we can say, okay, we probably have some function or model. So we can define a function or model, and that could just return this one. So now we get an error, and that's because we don't display anything here. So now we actually have our model, and it returns the string, and we see it over here. Now you can see it doesn't stretch nicely, and that's because we need to say that we don't want fixed sizing on any panel. We actually want a sizing mode called stretch width, like that. This model is not so interesting. Let's just give it a feature, or give it an argument. So what about giving it an argument 5 and saying now we want to do something like this. So now you can see here we get something like this. One problem here is that count -3 and so on, that's not so useful. So we actually want to control the widget here. So we can define a widget for the counts, and panel has a lot of widgets, including an int slider, and here we could set a value equals 5 and start equals 0 and end equals 5, for example, and make this servable. So now we add an extra slider. Again, we want to show it in the sidebar like this, and we want to have the settings on top. And now we need to connect or bind our model and our widget. So we do that using pn.bind the model and then the count widget. So we need to bind the model, the argument called count of that, to the count widget. And then we get a new interactive model actually out. We can call that iModel. So now we have a custom widget over here. Let's give it a name as well, like name equals count, and you can see here now it's called count. Let's just check it out. Yeah, so we also have the dark theme. That's nice. The magic of the panel function is also it can like understand other kinds of objects like data frames. So it can understand or interpret a lot of Pydata's objects. So import pandas as PD. So now we could have pd.dataframe instead, and then say x equals range to count and y equals range. And it looks like we have something here. It should be a dict like this. And now it's blank again, then you need to refresh it like this. So now you get a nice table, and we can even say to the panel here that please don't display the index. Nice. And now you can see here, and we can also say here loading indicator equals true. So if we want a loading indicator, we can get it, so that every time we reload here, we get the loading indicator. And that's useful if sort of rerunning the model or the function is slow. But let's just take this one out. Another thing you often want are plots. One plotting library or framework you can use is hvplot. So this hvplot.pandas, when we import that, then it adds the .hvplot and .interactive methods to pd.dataframe, so to the pandas data frame. So now we can use that to say .hvplot. Let's see here what happens. Yeah, so now we get a plot, and we can say color equals let's just define an accent. Let's make that accent orange, for example. Right. So color, it's not called. It's because we put it inside the data frame. We shouldn't. We should put it inside hvplot, like that. So now we get the orange color here, and we would actually like to have it for a template as well. Let's just run black to relay out this so that we can see what's going on. And let's also make this a little bit wider here, like this. So we can add a accent base color and a header background. So now it looks like this, and let's just see here. So let's also make it a little bit serious, right? So this is what we're looking at. And yeah, maybe we could even add logo. So okay, we need some image here. So let's just take this one, copy image name, and put it in a specific panel. So a PNG T1. Let's see how it looks. So yeah, now we didn't included, so we need to make it servable. And then I get some error down here, so I need to like reload it a few times, then I get something up here it's not really showing. So let's say sizing mode equals scale width. Let's see what happens. It's not really showing anything. It might be bad. Let's just copy this one. Showing over there. Let's see. Okay, it downloaded it. That was nice, and I want to have it in the sidebar instead. Like that. Yes. So now we have a nice application here. You can see it updates when I drag the slider. I showed you we could use pandas data frames, we can use h3plot, we can also, for example, use plotly. Let's use Plotly Express as px, and then we need to change a few things here. So first of all, our data is the data frame here. Then we need to say the plot is px dot, for example, line, and then we want the data here. Let's just see what happens then. So now it's downloading. Yes, it looks nice. The only thing is that we need something more, like the ability to set the color, and I don't, yeah, color discrete sequence it probably is. So here we have it. We can give it a color discrete sequence and say it's the accent, like this. And again, it updates nicely. So now we have one. We could sprinkle in another widget and bind that to our model and get a new model out. And then we would display that one like that. So this slider updates the first one. We could also say, okay, maybe we want two, but they depend on the same widgets, like that. Then we only have one. And we could say maybe the second we would like a loading indicator, for example. So it shows you the basics of creating small applications.